Thanksgiving is more than family and food. For us, it's about being thankful and celebrating people for who they are and what they bring to the table.
Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast streaming live on Digital Stream Radio, where you can access that live stream every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Today, we're going to welcome Tony Ardolino to the show. He's the creator of a new web-based fantasy series, Far, Far Away, giving an LGBTQ twist to some of our beloved classic characters like Cinderella and Snow White. The show features a gay Snow White, a lesbian Rapunzel, and a transgender Cinderella. We're going to have more on Tony and, of course, a series on the second half of the show. My name is Tom, and I'm your host. And joining us today in Chris's absence is, of course...
Hi, I'm Elcie.
And...
Hi, it's Nick or Trish.
and welcome you all to
The
Dish.
She tried.
Almost.
So
almost.
first of all, I thought you were going to slam me. I was waiting.
I
for you.
was, and I sort of kind of just
You
read
dropped
right
the
over.
ball.
So anyway, what I was gonna say, and our usual split personality queen, and then he would have came in and said, "Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish,"
Right.
but I left it out. But now I didn't because you brought it up. So anyway, welcome back, guys. It is Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving is this Thursday, and so we're here. We're trying to get through the show. We have a guest coming on. We're super excited about this series. If it comes to fruition, of course, the creator Tony is going to join us on the show to tell us a little bit about the crowdfunding that he's doing to make the series, which, by the way, the trailer is fantastic, a reality. And so that's why we'll be having him on the show, and we're super excited. But anyway, I feel like there's so much that we need to cover, and so little time before we go to break and bring him on. So we're just going to jump right in. So Elcie, once again, thank you for being here with us. You're amazing. Chris couldn't make it today, and so Elcie, of course, on short notice, just picked up and got to the studio, and here she is, dressed to the nines.
I like coming here because there's lots of compliments.
Oh, she's nice. She got this new bra, and
her tits look great.
her boobs are
My
amazing.
tits do look great.
In the mic, girl. In the mic.
My tits look great.
Thank you. So I'm super excited that she's here because today is November 25th, and it's also International Day of the Elimination of Violence Against Women. And I think it is a very important date. There's countless women around the world that suffer at the hands of men who, for the most part,
It's
just
like me suffering at the hands of Tom.
sometimes, yeah. And so I wanted to bring awareness to this, right? Because it happens often where women are constantly being victimized, and men typically are the culprit. And so we wanted to bring awareness to this, but also, interestingly enough, there's a side story to the reason why this day exists and why we honor the people that we've lost, the women that we've lost to violence, because it came out of, it was a product of something that happened in your home country, in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
And so Elcie is originally from there. And so there was this group of sisters. They were called the Mirabal sisters. And they had a dictator that at the time, about, I would say, maybe 50 years ago, was running the country. And he was very brutal to his people, and specifically to people who would not conform to his wishes and things that he wanted. And there was these three sisters that defied his regime and started protesting and started doing things to sort of kind of overthrow him. And
Right.
they were very outspoken. They were very public about their intentions at times when they could. But in the end, when all said and done, they were imprisoned, they were beaten, they were raped, they went through hell and back, and eventually they were murdered for their work
Right.
in getting rid of this dictator. So you have an interesting history on that. Want to talk about it?
Yeah. I actually love it because it's how my name came to be. My parents were actually both activists against the regime. Um, so prevalently so that my father actually was persecuted by the government, and it's known as the 13-year regime,
Hmm.
which is was it was a puppet government right after Trujillo, and he essentially just assigned Balaguer to power.
Hmm.
So even though it was a different president, quote unquote, it was still pretty much his reign. Um, and so while my parents were dating, the government actually sent for my father to be killed.
What?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It really was. When you think about, there's a lot of documentaries that exist as a result of everything that happened. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right. Luckily, the person who used to man the telegram office, the telegraph office, knew my family. And so instead of giving the order or forwarding the order to the army to come get my dad, he actually ran to my grandmother's house and alerted them, and my father was able to get away. So for part of my parents' courtship, my dad was, it's what we called alzados, which means elevated. So you ran into the mountains, right? And so my mother was essentially forced to go underground and bring them supplies while my dad was running for his life. And it's actually how I got my name. During the 13-year regime, there was a protest by students at my father's and my mother's college, and they picked out one of the more noticeable voices in the group, and they executed her in front of the student body to make an example out of her. My parents were both in college at that time, and this was 19 in the 1970s, early 1970s, and so my parents named me after her in a sign of protest and also to honor her name and her efforts against the regime. And her name was Sagrario Elcira Diaz, so my parents named me Elcira after her.
Oh my god.
I know. What's the story
Way,
of
way
your
to
name?
way to kick off the show. Jesus, we were
It's
talking
very
about your
intense.
tits and now I'm crying.
Follow that.
So, it's important. It's important because these things did exist. This did happen. It's real history. Where you have one individual who thinks that with power and with brutality, that he could maintain people subversive to the will to his will. And you had these three incredible women, and of course, all the people that you mentioned that were protesting in colleges and places all over the Dominican Republic, that went out of their way to ensure that this man would not succeed in doing what he was trying to do. And he would murder anyone that would talk against him.
Yeah.
It was incredible. There's a movie, it's called The Time of the
Time of the
Butterflies.
butterflies.
And then one of the stars is Salma Hayek, and of course, Mark Anthony, and several other notable actors. James Earl
Mm-hmm.
Olmos, I
Mm-hmm.
believe.
Yes.
He played Leonidas Trujillo, and it's incredible when you see what these ladies went through. And anyway, as a result of their murder, when they were murdered in I think it was a field of sugarcane.
Sugarcane.
It was a sugarcane field. They led them into these fields and beat them to death with sticks and whatever they had, guns, sticks, you name it. And when this happened, the outpouring of support was so strong, that he fell shortly after.
He fell shortly after, yes, with help of the U.S. Not that that made things a huge deal better,
Mm,
but it
yeah.
was a step.
And that's when, of course, the efforts internationally to commemorate their deaths and do something good, came out of this, and that's basically why we celebrate International Day of the Elimination of Violence for Women. Is as a result of the work of those three amazing Dominican women that are no longer with us.
Right. And it's such a prevalent problem still in Dominican Republic because culturally men and women are brought up to believe that women are the property of men, unfortunately. And so when you look at someone as your property, essentially it doesn't really matter. You've essentially dehumanized them.
Hmm.
And so if you beat them, it's like people just kind of like, well, that's her husband. And it's still a prevalent problem in the
Yeah.
Dominican Republic. We have one of the highest incidences of violence against women by their partners in Dominican Republic.
And that is so sad.
It's just so sad.
It really is. All right. Well, again, we wanted to bring awareness, and we surely did. Elcie, thank you for telling us a little bit about how personal this is to you and how it relates to your family and firsthand how they experience that.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, listen, we're gonna move on because we do have a guest. We've got about 10 minutes before to go to break. So
I'm like floored right now. So
it's
meh.
listen, you'd be surprised. Some of the stories that come out of these islands, the Caribbean has a very, very gruesome history, and a lot of people don't realize is because those histories are not told.
Mhm.
Right.
And but it is gruesome, very gruesome. When you think about the enslavement, the enslavement of
Let's-
African American slaves, when you think about the decimation of our Taino Indians, our
The
native,
genocide, right?
yeah, it was horrible. But yeah, there's a lot of history there that is yet to be tapped and told, so that people are aware of what really goes on. So, all right. So Nick, you had pulled out an email that we had received, and I want you to tee this up and talk to us a little bit about it, and then we'll move on.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So in lighter news,
My tits and go.
Elsie's tits and ass and other things. So on the show, I talk about how it really makes me happy to hear from our listeners and how we're impacting their lives. And I was actually going through our email the other day because we had so many, and I was like, oh my God, I need to clear this out. I can't deal with all this anymore. And I found an email I must have missed. So I'm going to read it. So love the show. Hey guys, let me just start by saying I love the podcast. Me and my boyfriend have been listening since August of 2018 and listened to just about every show. After about 4 months of listening, we both came out to our families. Honestly, you gave us the inspiration and support as well as the assurance that everything would be okay. We officially started dating on New Year's Eve and have yet to miss an episode. I hope you guys continue to do what you continue doing what you do and become more well known. We have also decided to get more involved with the community here in West Palm Beach, and we definitely will be pushing your podcast around. Love you guys. Carter Thomas and Giovanni Rodriguez.
I love that.
It's amazing. And so thank you guys for being supportive of our show and for listening and for staying with us. It's wonderful to get news like this and an email like this from our listeners.
Yeah, no, I got teary-eyed. It's
I
fine.
know. That totally makes me feel better about missing homework to be here.
So I want to say that I'm actually going to be in the area. I'm going to be in the West Palm Beach area in December from like the 22nd through the 4th of the year.
This
so
bitch is going away for 2 weeks.
she
to
gotta go.
Florida.
She
You
gotta
have to go to
go.
Jupiter and maybe bring me some cans from Civil Society. Just gonna throw that out there.
Oh, okay.
It's a brewery.
Will do.
It's a brewery.
I'm driving, so I'll just text that to me and I'll remember it.
I'll get you a cooler.
But I would love to meet you guys if possible when I'm down there in the area, and you can show me around because every time I go down there, I'm like, where do I go? There are no gay bars or no gay places to be where my parents live. So I would love to meet you guys, and thank you for sending this in. It's beautiful, and it makes me so happy to think that because of our show, you had the strength to share your truth with your family. So
and
thank you for
hopefully it was
sharing
well
that with us.
received, right? We're approaching Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I hope that you both could share those 2 holidays, those amazing holidays, with your loved ones, and that everything is okay for you guys,
Mhm.
because that's important.
Mhm.
And not all of us have the opportunity to be able to do that with folks that we grew up knowing that we should love, but then sort of kind of cast us out.
Yeah, it's like finding the right bra when you come out.
Exactly.
It is like finding and then it makes your tits great. So it's a win. I love it.
All right, so we keep talking about Elsie's tits, and now we're gonna have to dive into this just a little bit.
Well, here's the thing.
Tally it up.
Thank you, baby. She got a new bra, and so when she walked in, I was like, "Elcie, your tits look amazing. What is up with you?" And so she's like,
I got a new bra. Apparently I was wearing the wrong size cup. Which apparently is a thing for most women.
Right. So, but
This
you get a new
emoji.
bra. Tom's giving you like accolades about your tits, and we're gay. And I'm like, girl, they're popping. You look
I
I was
amazing.
like,
know.
you can see them things coming around the corner. You got time to actually comb your hair, put some cologne on, powder up
Yeah.
if you have to, and get ready for her.
And this girl is like telling us stories about her day, and she's like, and everybody kept just like looking down, not at my face. And I'm like, it's 'cause of
Nobody
the new
looked at
bra.
my eyes.
It's
So,
like,
so
hello,
I'm
up
equating
here.
this to coming out because she got a new bra. I don't know how I made that segue, but you know what I mean. It's like you feel comfortable with yourself and a little bit more empowered. You get
There
a new
you go.
bra.
You tie that up nicely.
It's just that extra boost, right? She walked out the house this morning feeling like a
On top of the
superstar.
world.
What?
Even did the extra mile to do my makeup and hair.
Okay.
To go with my tits.
I love it. I love it. So that's awesome. So, is there anything else you would like to tell us about your Mercedes and Lexus over here?
Ooh, they got stripper names?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, you've never named your tits?
I never named my tits.
They officially have names.
This is what happened, right? My tits were like really inappropriate. Like I was a double D at age 13. And so I used to get all this unwanted attention. And then in my early 20s, because it's tough for a 13-year-old to be fending off 30-year-olds who are like making, comments about your breasts.
And this was in DR?
No, this was here.
Here?
Yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Also,
I
like
know.
double D's? Like, you must have
At
like a
13.
significant core.
Dude, my back muscles
Yeah.
come at me, bro.
I know, that's what I'm saying. At 13.
I ended up having a breast reduction, and this is a breast reduction. Believe it or not, at this size. So, looking at them looking like that, it's kind of rewarding where I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to take off my blazer and just walk around in my tight t-shirt.
Hello.
On the third floor where HR lives.
I can't. Like, I love having you on the show.
Oh.
So we went from that email to your tits. I think we've talked about your tits most of the show at this point.
I know. I like it.
Yeah, it's weird though.
I
'cause
think
it's
the
a gay
title's
show.
going to be It's All About Her Tits.
Yes.
Elcie and her
Ooh,
tits.
make it.
So sorry, Carter and Giovanni, because we love you, but we also love Elsie's tits.
We do.
Mercedes and Lexus, by the way.
Yes.
Officially.
Oh my God.
All right, so we've got more from Nick. Nick, you are on a roll this week.
Oh,
I
I have to keep
appreciate
going?
you and love you because
I
you
think
know.
we're going fine.
So we've got a coming out.
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I didn't realize this, but so Jason Mraz admits that he's bisexual,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, hold on, this is a waste because he's married, right? So like, we all want to have sex with him a little bit.
Just a little.
I
But
mean, I
is he
do.
married to a woman or a woman? So
A
he's
woman.
married to a woman. He just came out as bisexual. Obviously, he doesn't. Well, that I know of, that doesn't mean that he's like cheating on his wife or something.
Right.
No. He's coming out as bisexual, and I think the bisexual community gets a really bad rap.
Yeah.
Recently, somebody that I work with is also bisexual, and we had an event to go to, and it was a gay themed event, and she said to me, "Well, am I gay enough?" And I was like, "What the fuck does that mean? Are you gay enough?" She's like, "Well, I mean, I'm bi. I mean, that's what I hear all the time. I'm not gay enough." I'm like, "No, you're bisexual. You're part of the community." Like,
you have an identity that's yours that happens to be part of our community.
It's because she doesn't know that the B in LGBT means bisexual.
well, no, I think she
You're
does,
there.
but I
You're
think-
there.
I think the reality is, I mean, when we look at LGBTQ plus whatever, there is so much segregation and so much criticism on each
know.
group. And the reality is, a lot of bisexual individuals don't come out of the closet, don't feel the need to come out of the closet, and or feel like if they do come out of the closet, they're just going to get, attacked by the gay community, which is bullshit.
Which
but,
has
and
happened.
straight
but real.
community.
Yeah. from both.
But real, yeah. And so, Jason Mraz was talking about how growing up, he saw gay and lesbian people being harassed, and he heard the language around it, and it scared him. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to come out and admit that he was gay, and he had experiences before he married his wife, and he definitely has embraced his bisexuality, and I think it's important that we acknowledge that he's bi and that he's embracing it, even though he's married.
Well, yeah, a lot of people need to also realize that you being bisexual does not necessarily mean that you can't hold a committed relationship with
Right.
either sex,
Right.
and that either one is completely adequate for what you identify
Right.
as.
So here's my
And
question, right? So if he came out beforehand, if he didn't have society, if bisexual individuals didn't have society putting this like, this is what being gay means, this is how people are going to treat you, and they're just putting all of this on these people, and you're seeing it constantly, do you think that he would have married a woman? Do you think that he
well,
would have had more of a, runway to experience life, and maybe he would have married a man?
it's possible, but we won't know. I mean, I think that's a question for us to ask him. Get him on the show.
Oh yeah,
No, but that is
I'm gonna call
that is
Jason Mraz
that
tomorrow.
is that's a very valid question.
So I have a real dear friend of mine. She's one of my closest friends. She is married to a man. She identifies as bisexual, and she has had experiences with both men and women. But she is in a committed, you know, relationship with her husband now. They've been married for about, I believe, 7 years. And, she's very vocal about saying, hey, I'm still a bisexual woman. But, I've made a commitment to my relationship and the person that I love. And that wouldn't be any different if it were a woman or a man, at least for her.
Exactly. And that's a very valid point, and it's a conversation that I have all the time. Being faithful is being faithful, regardless of who you're into. And people tend to,
Tell him to listen up to this.
Oh,
Steve, listen up to this. So,
So we have a guest sit in with us here, just listening while we record the show today. It's Steve. So round of applause for Steve. Hi, Steve. Welcome to the show.
so I have this conversation all the time, especially with people who are straight. Your sexuality does not define you as a person.
No.
You're into whatever it is that you're into. And
Mhm.
when you, and it's the same as me being with a man as a straight woman and cheating on him because I like all the other men. It's the same exact thing, but we feel the need, normative quote unquote society feels the need to say, oh, it's because they're bisexual and so they can commit to the one sex. No, you commit to the person. You don't commit to the sex. You
Yeah,
know what
I
I mean?
agree.
And so regardless of what you're into, I'm into all the men, especially lately. But we won't get into that. It's like a whole other show.
But I also think it's really important to acknowledge, like, as if an individual is bi and identifies as bi, I think it's really, really, really important that you are very open and honest with your partner, whether
Absolutely.
you
Yes.
decide to go male to male, female to female, male to female. It doesn't matter. I think you need to be really open and honest, because no matter what, you will always have this part of you that is important that you need to acknowledge. And if you don't acknowledge that part of you, your relationship won't thrive.
And it will consume you.
Mm-hmm.
It will. I mean,
Right.
the need to constantly battle yourself, right? This is even true for anyone that might be gay
Or straight.
or lesbian or straight, or even, non-gender non-conforming. If you don't address the demons within on how you see yourself, because that's important, that translates, and it also comes out, and it affects the relationships that you have with
Mhm.
other people, whether that's an intimate relationship or not. You really need to be good with yourself. You need to try to find a way to be good with yourself, and then work on your relationships with anybody else.
It
Right.
also like opens a window too in a relationship. So if you are bisexual in a relationship and you have sexual needs that can't necessarily be met by your partner, if you are open and honest and that partner is accepting of that, there is potential in the future that
Yes.
if you need to explore another avenue of sexual satisfaction, you can, and you can have an open conversation with your partner because they already understand where
Right.
you're at.
I think that we tend to underestimate other people's ability to accept certain things, and so we won't be forthcoming about what our desires are.
Mhm.
And again, when I have these conversations, I don't look at it as, oh, it's because you're gay or straight. It has nothing to do with that, because maybe you're into toes and I think that shit is fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's your thing, but
Yeah.
you would have the conversation with me. Like,
Maybe
I
you like
don't,
big hands. I don't know.
maybe you like big hands.
Or big tits.
or big tits.
So, all right.
Oh, I'm winning.
She is winning. All right, listen, guys.
We
I
have
would love to. Yes.
Let me finish the story real quick.
Go.
So I just want to end this whole Jason Mraz thing with a poem that he wrote, and this is how he came out. He said, "Dear you, thank you. You have inspired me, rewired me. You showed me what strength is. You demonstrated courage over and over again. You risk so much for love. You never compromise your expression, even when your rights and freedoms were being compromised. You stood up for me. You stood up for the world, and now the world is better because of you. We still have a long way to go, but no, I am by your side always."
That's amazing.
That is great.
He is such a prolific writer. I mean, his music is just really transcendent and catchy too. So, all right. Well, listen. On that note, we're gonna leave you with some music because we have a guest tonight, and it is important that we get him on. Try to at least on time. So here's some music, and we will be right back.
It's hard to see you with a man you call your friend, but in the end, I know I don't have much time to tell you why I wanna die, but then I cry, so then I lie, so I don't make you bend time. 'Cause if you wanted me to move, you know I would, because I'm good at making you love me. And if I said I needed more than I came for, would you ignore me making you love me? So baby, play me on your loudspeaker.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the break. That was Time by Pat Riley. And we are back from the break. We were outside doing our things, and Elcie was pointing out that I look like a lumberjack lesbian today with my attire, which is fantastic, and I love it. Thank you. But anyway, welcome back. Joining us now is, of course, Tony Ardolino. He's our guest. He's the creator of the new web-based project fantasy series currently seeking funding on Indiegogo. It's called Far, Far Away, and he's here to tell us all about it. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's fantastic to have you. You are currently in the works of creating this amazing production. It looks amazing, by the way. The trailer that we had gotten, along with all the information, really speaks to the work that you're doing. So before we get started, this is Nick.
Yeah, we did that.
I know, but
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're
Tom,
learning. You're learning.
and this is Elcie.
Your eyebrows are fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much. I tried.
You're succeeding.
And behind us over here is Steve. He's just hiding out and listening to the show while we record.
He literally said, "Nick, why don't you look like that?" Talking about you.
There's sexual tension between these two here, so.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
no,
right.
That's
I'm gonna
groundbreaking.
kill him after the show, but your eyebrows do
I
look
love
great.
your lumberjack attire. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. See? Yes.
He looks
I'm
like he
winning.
can put a picture on your wall, right?
Yes, he looks like he's gonna serve me maple syrup. I love it.
Right.
I'll be over with pancakes and what's the other one? French toast
Waffles.
Dish.
and waffles, whichever one. But I have plenty of syrup. Trust me.
To
I will
pour,
drive
to
to-
pour all over anything.
Yes, I will drive up to Vermont if I have to go get fresh maple syrup.
This got awkward.
Okay. Anyway, no, but true. I love maple syrup, and there's none other better than the ones made in Vermont.
So,
Anyway,
so Tony, so I want to start out by asking, how and why? Where did this come from? Why did you come up with this idea?
Well, I've always loved fairy tales, and growing up as a little gay boy from New Jersey, I would always, get picked on and stuff like that. And when I would go home, I would always watch Disney movies to help me kind of escape. And growing up, especially as an Italian American, we grow up and it's either you literally get married and then you die. And for me growing up, I always wanted this big fairy tale wedding and thought the only way I can get that, is, fake who I am, be straight, get that fairy tale wedding, live happily ever after. And as you grow up and you live your life, you realize that you can still be who you are and live happily ever after. And so this is not only a lesson for people to learn, because fairy tales have always been lessons, but this is also just an escape for people who are having a bad day or think that they can't be who they are and get that happy ending. So yeah.
Recently, I don't know what it was that brought me to say it, but on the show I said something along the lines of, "I won't be satisfied until I see two gay princes in a Disney movie get married."
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And when I saw this, I was like, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
of course. But I think it had to do with the release of Disney Plus. We were talking about that an episode ago, and I had mentioned it, and you said, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, and it's all great, but I need to see two princes, on Disney.
Well, it's interesting because, so not to relate it to my daily work, but at work, I'm currently working on a show, Pride and Prejudice, and it's, Pride and Prejudice, it's a classic. Normally you think of it as a white-based, family-driven type show, but we're doing a show with everybody's a person of color in the show.
Yeah.
And every single person in the show is relating to the characters as they would in real life. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that, because the reality is, I want a gay prince. I want to get married. You know what I mean? I want that love story. And I think that's why this is so important.
You don't want a gay prince. You want to be the gay prince.
Valid.
Don't we all?
So tell us a little bit about the process, where you're at, what's going on with it.
So right now we made this trailer. I worked with the filmmaker James Simmons to make this really cool, amazing trailer. And at first we wanted to make the trailer to raise money, and afterwards we got all this great response from the Beverly Hills Lifestyle magazine and just from online. And we were like, let's enter in a contest and just see what happens. And we've been doing extremely well. We just took home 3 awards from the Calcutta International Film Festival and the South Film Arts Academy Film Festival and the Cult Classic Film Festival. So we're doing extremely well. We're even not just for best trailer, but for best costumes as well, which I would like to say I actually made all the costumes for. with hot glue too.
That's awesome. Hey, listen,
Yes,
you can
hot glue
build a
dream.
world with hot glue. A lot of people don't realize that.
Right, you could. But yeah, and so right now we're talking to some people who are really interested in it as well. But our main goal is to make this and just like I said, make an escape for people and just to tell a really cool, interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
At the center of it is all these fairy tales. It's the classic fairy tales with an LGBTQ twist. And our main story focuses on a gay Prince Snow White, a lesbian Rapunzel, and a trans Cinderella. And the three of them meet up in the Forbidden Forest, and together they work together to make their dreams come true.
So I think it's so important that you have characters from each part of the LGBTQ plus community. And I wanted
Yes.
to talk a little bit more about that. So why was that important to you and how did you infuse that into this trailer and or project?
Well, because I think everybody wants to relate to somebody, especially even with the Disney princesses. I mean, you relate to one that that you like the ones that you relate to, and there's so many times that whether it's a member of the LGBTQ community or a person of color, a lot of times people don't get that representation, and I just feel like it's important, especially because, like I said, these things are all full of fantasy, but they inspire people, and they inspire people to believe that their dreams are valid and their dreams can come true. Not only if you put in the hard work, but if you believe in yourself. And a lot of times, to believe in yourself, you want to see yourself in a way that others can see you as well.
I agree 100%. You're right. If in order to be able to see that something is possible, you have to be able to see someone like you
Mhm.
doing what you thought at one point in time was impossible.
It
Right?
Yeah.
validates you. It
Yeah.
validates you, right?
And I think that that's super amazing that you guys are doing this now. With this particular project, how long have you been working on this?
So I've been actually working on it for about 3 years now.
Wow.
I had the idea while I was living in Singapore. And then when I came back to the US, I was doing a job out there. When I came back to the US, I was getting ready to start it. And then I booked a job with Nickelodeon and I was touring around with Nickelodeon for 2 years. And while I was on the road, I was writing the script and, building relationships and finding actors and actresses. And when I ended my contract, I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's make this thing come to life. And it took us 2 weeks to film this, and then it took us a couple weeks after to edit it. And now we're really excited with what we have, but we know it's just the beginning. It's literally just right now we have a cover. There's a whole book we have to write, but we're so excited about it.
So what's the actual plan? Is it so it's going to be a web series or
It's going to be a web series, yeah.
and
We actually also have music written for it as well. We have original music. Literally, it's a Disney live action movie come to life. Well, fantasy series come to
Mhm.
life. And we're just so excited to for everyone to step into our world pretty soon.
Now, have you been approached by like Netflix or Disney or any of these companies?
We've been talking to some producers here and there. I'm not going to give any names
course
out
not.
yet, but but we have been talking to some people here and there. But we want to try to build it first before we have the world see it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
completely. We were talking earlier and all I could think about was Brokeback Mountain. I know it's a weird segue, but it was the first time in my life that I saw on the main screen two men interact sexually, and it was for the masses, and it was so important to me, and it did validate me, and I think that this what you're doing with this, because every kid grows up with Frozen, with Cars or whatever it is. Disney is a huge part of growing
Yeah.
up. This
Mhm.
has the ability to really kind of infuse gay culture and being gay and being okay with that into these kids' lives. I mean, like, talk a little bit about like that impact for you. Like, that's got to be something huge.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I mean, I couldn't imagine growing up and, going to a Disney park and seeing Disney princes, holding hands together, waving to me in a crowd. If that's in the future coming up, I think that will be the most magical thing in the world. Especially because I feel like the gay community, I feel like we go hand in hand with fairy tales, because fairy tales, they represent hope. And at the end of the day, especially this community, we need hope, especially when there's evil trolls on the internet and evil kings taking over. We
Yep.
we need that.
Yeah.
And fairy tales are all around us. And yeah, I mean, if Disney Plus is watching this and they would like to, give me a call, I would love that.
I endorse that.
Right. But yeah, I just can't wait for the day when someone sees himself up there on that screen in a fairy tale, and they just say, that's the wedding I want. That's what I want.
So you've been working on this project for the better part of 3 years. You now have a full-fledged, trailer that you can show
Mhm.
people so that they can get an idea what the project is going to look like and what they're looking forward to, which is an incredible trailer. And with your permission, we would love to post that on our social media and our website. Can we do that?
Oh, well, permission granted, of
All
course.
right, thank you. So we'll definitely do this so you guys can know and see what it is that we're talking about. It is truly incredible. But I wanted to ask you, so you've been working on this for 3 years, and now you want to bring this to fruition. Obviously, you need funding. And so can you
Yes.
talk about a little bit about how you're going about funding this project? And is it all strictly just Indiegogo, or are you looking at multiple avenues of income to be able to fund the project?
Well, right, we literally just started the funding process, and we're starting with Indiegogo. We're doing well. It's very hard to raise money, and especially for a project like this too. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this project, I want people to realize that if they do give money to this, that they literally are changing the world. We're trying to change the way fairy tales are made.
Yep.
And it's not only going to mean so much to me, but it's going to mean so much to just somebody out there who kind of needs it, whether it's a little gay boy in New Jersey or a lesbian girl in Ohio, someone in this
right
world.
here.
Right there.
Flannel shirt and everything.
But somebody in this world needs an escape to a land far, far away. And the funding process is, don't get me wrong, it's very hard, because not only do we need money for film equipment and production and actors and actresses, but we also need for costumes and set pieces and props. And it's a lot.
salaries.
You never think about, like, one scene can cost hundreds of dollars, and you never think about that when you're watching it, but it's true. And especially if you want something to look good, we're not shooting this on a cell phone. We're shooting this with a great crew and a great camera. And I mean, in our trailer, we actually are in the middle of the woods in this gigantic Rapunzel tower, which is insane. And to make those things come to life, it takes money.
So was the tower itself an actual structure, or was it something that needed to be built for the actual trailer?
No, well, the tower itself was an actual structure, but we do have permits. We had permits to film there.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had so many thoughts, but they're all gone right now. But anyway, so
It's his eyebrows.
I know,
Yeah.
you're so pretty. Stop it. So you have all of these, the normal characters. You have your Cinderella, you have your Rapunzel, you have Prince Charming. Have you ever thought about maybe developing 2 new princes or 2 new princesses or something like that to not only hit on the fairy tale story, but also expand upon it as well?
Yeah, well, we do have some secrets that will be revealed in our series. We have some great things, but I want to start with classics that we all know and love.
Yeah.
Because I think it means more, especially, I think there's no story on earth like the Cinderella story. It's just, there's just something about somebody who has nothing and then at the end has something and has a name for themselves. And people look up to that. I mean, every single day there's just, whether you're gay, straight, guy or girl, when you do anything in life, you want to make something. When you're at a club, you want to be noticed, and everyone just has that Cinderella story that they care so much about. And so it started with the Cinderella idea, and then all of a sudden the Rapunzel idea came, and the Snow White idea came, and I said, what if it was just something for each part of the community?
Mhm.
And so we have other characters too that we're kind of keeping down low until we get to tell the whole story. But yeah, of course there's like I said, there are things coming for their own fairy tales. But I really wanted to focus on things that we knew.
Did you think, like, when you were developing this, like, because in my head, I'm seeing, like, Disney meets Into the Woods, but gay.
I like to think of it as Once Upon a Time meets Queer as Folk.
Okay, all right.
Valid. Okay, see, now he's speaking my language. Queer as Folk is one of my favorite shows for so many reasons. But yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. So you're fundraising on Indiegogo. How can our listeners or anyone that would like to contribute to your project be able to do that?
Well, if you go to our website, which is www.farfarawaytheseries.com, all the information is on there. You can also hit us up on our Instagram, which is farfaraway.theseries. And you can also go to our Facebook page, which is Far Far Away the Series.
That's awesome. And so, is this the only project that you're working on now? Does this like consume like all of your time, or are you working on anything else that we should be aware of aside from Far Far Away?
No, right now I'm trying to make Far Far Away come to life in every possible way I can.
That's amazing. So we're going to definitely do the best we can to let people know that the project exists and all the reasons why they should be supporting something like this. Again, representation, visibility. I always say visibility is our biggest strength, and when we see ourselves in our communities on screen or in flyers and posters, aside from your typical, this is a gay bar promotion, a poster, when you see things that have to do with our community in everyday life, it just further validates the fact that there's nothing, that we are not an abomination or an anomaly or any of those things that people tend to sort of kind of throw at us as a tag. And I think that what you're doing is going to be incredible in allowing our stories to be told in our own mirror image and how we see ourselves. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah, I
Oh,
totally
thank you so
subscribe to this idea. And no pressure, but if you execute this well, um, it will be amazing. Now, I'm going to do a shameless plug to Hans,
Go ahead.
because Hans wrote this amazing children's book. Where we're looking at a relationship between two men, and there's no mention of there being a gay aspect to it. It just happens to be two boys who love each other, and are fighting against society's stigma against the gay community. And I love that, because one of my biggest things when I talk to people about sexuality is we have to find a way to normalize this conversation where we do away with the labels. Like, if I talk about Tommy, don't ask me is that gay Tommy? No, it's Tommy. Like, I don't refer to Steve as straight Steve. So can we please have a normative conversation and stop placing labels on people that essentially cause us to look at them in a different way, where sexuality is the defining characteristic of this person.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that this has the ability to do that, because they're not saying, yes, I'm gay. What they're showing is love stories between individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
This also has the ability to, I can just imagine, as when I was growing up watching Disney movies, if I saw a love story between two men, I would have felt so much more secure in all of the thoughts that I had and all of the fears that I had. This has the ability to, like, not only like give people power and strength within who they are, but also save lives. To be honest,
absolutely,
because people that don't feel represented, that's why the suicide rate in the gay community is so high, because they feel like they have nobody.
Right.
And I have to tell you, your writing and the dialogue in just the trailer alone, it's very creative. Like
Oh, thank you.
there's that one part in where Rapunzel's in the tower is like, my mother said if I grew out my hair, I might get out of the stage or grow out of the stage, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so this makes sense. And then you sort of kind of tie it into the fact that I believe she's the lesbian character, right?
Yes.
And so I'm thinking that maybe people perceive her to be, or mom perceived her to be like a butch lesbian. And if you grow out your hair,
It feminizes
Yes.
you,
More
and
girly.
so
Yeah.
exactly.
disgusting.
And so I'm just the way that you're using the current stories and just twisting those words, just slightest change of words and inflection really makes a connection to the gay community because they instantly can pick up language like that. We're like literally, I think, built to do
Super
that.
clever.
Yeah.
There were a couple of lines where I was like, he's clever. I'm in.
So I don't know if you know, random side note, I am a fundraiser for a theater. If you want to raise funds for this in the corporate world, Bank of America, they are all about LGBT rights. And
awesome.
and also, hold on, it'll come to me. I just had it. Oh my God, there's one more. I'll email you. But there's another corporation that will literally just give you money.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
It's like seriously, like I would reach out to as many people as you can. Corporations, it's it's sad to say that I say it this way, but it's like there's a lot of companies that are jumping on the LGBTQ wagon, and as cliche and crazy as that sounds, take advantage of that. Take them for
Mhm.
every penny they have, and literally go out there and make this because this needs to happen.
Yes.
Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for the kind words too.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well deserved. So, is there anything else that you would like us to know about your project before we wrap up today?
No, that's honestly it. Thank you. Like, honestly, thank you so much. Everything that you guys said really means so much. And like you said, this is honestly something not only that the LGBTQ community can watch, but also I also think it'd be really cool just to sit down with like your parents as well and be like, here's a movie, like let's watch this.
Yeah, totally. I
And
mean,
it's just
I
something
remember when Modern Family came out and my parents started watching it and they were like, "Oh my God, Nick, you're so much like Cam." I was like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. Why would you say that?" But the reality is, it
Cam
does.
is adorable.
When you see that representation, it normalizes it. Even for my parents, I mean, who we all know on the show and our listeners that I struggled with, but like my dad and my mom like religiously watch it now, and they're like, "Yeah, Nick is Cam." I'm like, it's because of my attitude. It's not the way I look, okay? Like,
Right, that's important, right? It's really funny. And, this opinion is in no way a representation of the network's opinion. It's my own. You mentioned Nickelodeon, and Hey Arnold is like my favorite cartoon ever. I'm Helga. Um, I was watching the Jungle movie yesterday, I think, or Saturday, and they were going off on this trip, and the teacher is like saying goodbye to whom I assume was his partner. It was a total dude, and it was like, you know what, Nickelodeon, good for you. This is totally his boyfriend,
Well, I mean,
and it was amazing. And it's like this cartoons cannot get any better for me.
and we're starting to see a lot of the changes that are coming slowly but surely. I don't know if you know, but when Disney Plus released or they launched, believe like 2 weeks ago, one of the shows that they're doing a series is, of course, High School Musical, and one of the
Yeah.
leads is a gay lead. The lead
Yeah.
character is gay, and they're showing a relationship between this lead character and his significant other, and seeing all of that play out within the realm of what we knew High School Musical to be. So it's no
Mhm.
longer seeing, a boy and a girl dancing and singing and having a moment. You're now going to be able to see two guys doing the same thing. And so I think we're on the right track. And I think that this material that you're producing and creating is what we need to be doing and focusing on.
Thank you so much. And yes, I couldn't agree more.
so last but not least, I ask this of all of our guests:
That's right.
hopes and dreams. What are your hopes and dreams for this project? What do you want it to do for the community? Do for you in general? Just what do you want it to say to the world?
I mean, I wanted to change the world. I know, as cliche as that sounds, I just feel like I have a story that I have to tell. And I feel like there's somebody in the world that needs to hear this story. And I would love for somebody to pick this up and we can make this happen. And so it's not just a fairy tale, but it's just a normal fairy tale that people love and people respect, and people can have a horrible day and think, you know what, I'm gonna go home and just watch Far, Far Away and just live out my life in that, and then that would inspire me that maybe tomorrow I can find my prince, maybe tomorrow I can find my princess, maybe tomorrow things are gonna get better.
So
you're gonna put him in a.
I haven't cried yet.
Yeah.
I haven't cried yet. So we're doing all right. But so yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, can you plug everywhere they can find it, where they can fund you, and thank you for joining us. Oh yeah, and definitely find.
Oh
him.
yeah, you can find me on Tony.Cannoli on Instagram.
Of course.
I can't.
Is it because you're stuffed?
Is it because they're stuffed or?
Oh
Like
my
a
god.
cannoli?
Wait, you'll have to look at the page.
Hold on, time out.
I'm going
The
there right
cannoli
now.
story. Have we? I'm. You have to hear this story. So.
Okay.
So there's a gentleman sitting here in studio with us, and it was his birthday this year at some point. Whatever, it doesn't
Oh
matter.
Lord, have mercy.
And for his birthday, I brought him a balloon and a cannoli because he's also 100% Italian. And he wasn't at the place where he works when I dropped it off, but his mother was. And the response we got was, why would Nick bring you a cannoli? That's kind of phallic.
Cannolis serve two purposes. They are phallic and they're also stuffed.
With
And
cream.
also creamy and delicious.
Right. So
I
there.
cannot.
So at Tony the cannoli, right? No, Tony cannoli.
Tony Cannoli.
Okay. And go on. Sorry.
And then that's just my personal page. And if you for Far, Far Away, farfaraway.theseries, and that's for Instagram. www.farfarawaytheseries.com. That's has everything on there. It has links to our funding page as well. We're funding on Indiegogo, so Indiegogo Far, Far Away. And we also have a Facebook page as well, which is Far, Far Away the Series.
Awesome.
Well, I'm on your Instagram, and Tony.Cannoli. You definitely look delicious like a cannoli. All right, my
But
friend.
we're not trying to objectify you, but it's
Oh, no,
kind of your
we
fault.
are.
He did it to himself. He put that
Yes,
picture up
it's
there.
your fault.
It's like,
Victim
are you
blaming.
kidding me? I think they mixed the cream that they put into the cannoli on his abs.
And then like pour it on.
All right,
him.
we need to end this conversation. It was so great talking to you, and I'm super excited to see what happens with Far, Far Away.
So here's what I'm gonna ask of you before we click, before we end the call. If as soon as you guys meet your goal, please come back to us. Let us know. Keep us apprised of what's going on. We want to make sure that we follow this through and see where it goes as well. And
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys.
all right,
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Have a good night and have a good Thanksgiving, too.
You
Thank
too.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.
All right.
All
Bye.
right, ladies and gents. Well, that of course was Tony Ardolino. Oh my God, go to his Instagram, please. Just go.
Why would you
And-
pull that up in the middle of conversation?
Why?
Because he gave
You
me-
saw his face. Like, come on.
I couldn't help it, and sorry, but anyway.
What am I doing wrong?
So again, he's creating a web-based fantasy series, of course, bringing a lot of the stories that we absolutely love, but give them a gay twist, and it's amazing, and I think he's going to be fantastic, and good luck to them, seriously.
I think it's
Absolutely.
really amazing that you're not only just seeing a gay love story, but you're seeing a lesbian couple, you're seeing a transgender individual, you're seeing the spectrum of
course.
the LGBTQ plus community within these fairy tales, which is pretty amazing.
Right. And my hope for this series after watching that trailer is that it'll be organic, because that's what we need. We need there to be organic conversation about people's sexuality, where we're no longer placing labels and
Mhm.
looking at people as different because of their sexual preference. Like we have got to come away from that.
I mean, honey, I've been preaching for years.
All right, well, guys, we've got one more story. Trish, if you want to cover it, it's
No,
your
let's
favorite
close out the show.
homegirl.
Oh, fine. I mean, like
Like-
Ellen.
like
we
we-
actually haven't talked about Ellen in a long time.
That's right. Well, she was going through some stuff with the gay community for a little bit, but let's go.
Whatever.
Go for it.
Oh my God. Anyway, so Ellen surprised a same-sex couple whose family members won't attend their wedding on
I
her
saw
show.
that video.
So a beautiful lesbian couple got engaged, and one of the couple's parents, they're not supportive. A lot of their family is supportive, but basically they tweeted at Ellen, was like, Ellen, will you walk me down the aisle? And Ellen's like, no, I can't do that. I'm not available at that time. But they gave Ellen gave them $25,000 for an open bar. I mean, like, I think that's a little bit more than an open bar, Ellen, but okay. Thanks, Shutterfly.
That's a whole
Also,
new
where
liver.
Shutterfly can like totally sponsor us as well.
Yes,
Mhm.
Shutterfly. Hello.
Yeah.
But also, Ellen invited one of the girls' entire family to the show so that the other girl in the relationship could propose as well. So one proposed in Paris and the other one proposed on Ellen. Like, I mean, does
That's
it get
epic.
better?
That's epic. You
No.
know, and I love that she takes the opportunities on her show to really bring light to these situations and sort of kind of give them a happy ending, right? Or a happy moment in that whole ordeal, because, you know, getting married or proposing to someone could end up being an ordeal for some, because, you know, you end up with the situation where not all family members may agree that your love is valid, you
Mhm.
know, and they can go suck it. But in the end, you know, I like the fact that she brings light to these things and gives them an opportunity to sort of kind of do right by themselves and make right with themselves.
It also gives space to acknowledge the fact that the world's still not right. Like, these women who 100% love each other and want to devote themselves to one another are struggling to have their family, their parents, support them. I mean, their blood relatives support them. And there's a quote in here, and we've talked about it on the show before, but I know you already proposed to me, but of course, you know that I had to get my piece in there because you deserve it. And there's no better way than to do it in front of our chosen family and, of course, our biggest role model, Ellen. So, I mean, we talk about chosen family all the time, but like Elcie was trying to point out earlier, we shouldn't have to choose a family. We should be able to be supported by the family that we're born into. And I think highlighting and spotlighting that is something that Ellen does with grace. And it's very important that we continue to do that.
Say something.
I can't, because I'm gonna get into a rant about how people are assholes and what the fuck, mind your business. It's my fucking penis.
I love it.
All right, so
I have
this is
a
like the
lady penis.
third time Elsie's told me about her penis.
I keep it in my pocket.
I'm proud of you, girl.
I want to see this penis, Elcie.
In due time.
Okay.
In due
In due
time.
time.
All right. So I'm down.
All right. Well, okay, so we've got a couple of things that we're going to be talking about. Doing three of our well-known segments that we do here. The first one is, of course, Mama Kim's Mom. Mon.
Clearly,
Okay,
I can't type,
minute.
so I'm just gonna fix
So let me get the timer out. Hold on. Let me do this. Let's do this and that.
Also, before you were taking forever. So we are developing a segment for Mama Kim. Mama Kim, it's gonna happen, and I think it's gonna happen after the new year. So we are in conversation, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
That being said,
all right.
this is Mama Kim's Minute, everybody. So number one, the AIDS Memorial quilt will be moved to a new permanent home in San Francisco. Two, gay man beaten and insulted by police wins $572,500 in settlement. Officers slammed him against a windshield, threatened him to make him bleed, and made fun of his voice. Three, gay talent show contest stunned judges with an unforgettable acrobatic dance routine. Four, a British Christian wanted to protest LGBTQ people at Disney. That bitch got banned from the U.S. instead.
Yes! That is everything. All right, 38 seconds. I'm proud of you. Maybe we could break down one of these. So the gay talent show of the contestants that stunned judges with an unforgettable routine. They ended up kissing at the end. It was absolutely beautiful. You guys need to watch that. It was, oh my God. I got all the really good feels inside.
Make sure you post it.
Yes.
Also,
we're gonna put the links on our post tonight.
On a
Right.
side note, Dolly Parton has a new show. I think it's on Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah. So I watched.
Jolie.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love her. But
I
the
love
first
her.
two
I know
episodes.
she's super racist, but I love that racist bitch.
Is she racist?
A little bit,
Because
but
she's super supportive of like.
absolutely no. It's not her fault. It's like inadvertently.
Oh no, you can't just like inadvertently.
I think
be,
Elsie's
you are.
just angry because her tits are bigger than hers.
Her fucking tits are bigger than mine. Dolly.
She's had those tits up here since she was like
For as
in
long as
her,
I
like,
can remember.
20, yeah.
Absolutely. So maybe I need to stop hating her. Fine. I love her. So whatever.
My point is that each episode is the inspiration for one of the songs that she developed throughout her career. And the second episode is about a gay couple and the struggles that they have to go through with their family. And I was a mess. I cried a lot.
Of course,
It was,
but that's
but
you.
but it was
you know?
beautiful, and you should totally check it out.
And she's awesome. You know, she was. I remember watching an interview about her talking about the song "I Will Always Love You." Right? It's always been known as Whitney Houston, one of Whitney Houston's biggest hits. You know, and it sort of kind of took it and made it her own. But the original writer is Dolly Parton, and she wrote the song. And when she talks about it in the interview, she's just like, "Listen, I don't care. I don't care how they play it, how they sing it, how they do it, how they. You want to say it's Whitney's song? You can say it's Whitney's song. Just pay me my money."
Right.
I love her. She's fabulous.
And can I be honest? I love Dolly too, but nobody could have done that song justice besides Whitney.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
And it was just an incredible song. But I just wanted to highlight that that's how just fun and
I feel like I'm
crazy
never
she is.
gonna be able to meet Dolly now. I'm
You know,
sorry.
sorry, Dolly, but we love you. But no, that's amazing. And the other thing that I wanted to say is the fact that the AIDS memorial quilt is going back home is huge.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't realize the concept of creating this quilt started in San Francisco at the height of HIV and AIDS and people dying in record numbers. And so obviously it ended up being unveiled at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And it became this iconic, you know, thing that just people all over the world have contributed to it, and it's just incredible. And to see it to go back home where it was conceived, it's a beautiful thing. So, all right. So we have two more things that we want to talk about. One of them is, of course, our Gay Talk term. Did you pick one, my dear?
I sure did.
All right, I'm proud of you. So this Gay Talk term, of course, is brought to you by
GayRealEstate.com.
Elcie.
And that term is pearl.
Pearl. Oh, Lord.
Oh God.
Yes. A good egg, often used sarcastically, which I love already. Yeah, he's a real pearl. You can string him on your necklace. It makes me think of the Southern term, bless his little heart.
Oh.
You're a pearl. Drop of seminal fluid. Like maybe if it's around your lip, it's maybe like a stud. It's what that makes me think of.
Oh
It's a little tiny drop.
my God, she's on fire today.
I know. I think it's the alcohol in an empty stomach.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get snacks from now on.
And this is also a nickname for a black queen. So I love all of it. All of it.
All right,
Really
fantastic.
interesting.
I know.
So Pearl, that's our Gay Talk term for today. Pearl.
All right, so we're moving on. So on this day in gay history, of course, brought to you by GayRealEstate.com, is
She's like, nope. not
when
happening.
November 25th, 1997, Ecuador legalized same-sex sexual activity. Wow, we have to like
That's
legalize the
that's
fact that people
interesting.
wanted to have sex.
Yeah, that's super
So-
like specific.
Yeah, I know. So case number 11197
It's not
TC overturns previous Article 516 of the Penal Code, which had criminalized such acts.
Penal.
Penal. So since 1997 in Ecuador, same-sex sex is legal.
It was about time,
All right, Ecuador.
right? It's like, whew. All right. Well, listen, guys, if you love the show, make sure that you go subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. I cannot talk right now. By subscribing, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your favorite device or web browser as soon as our episodes are published. You can also support us on Patreon, which allows you, our listeners, to support the show with a monetary donation. Those donations can be in any denomination of $1 or more, and we collect those on a monthly basis. Elcie,
Next week, we welcome Dr. G, the wiper
the wiper.
destroyer.
The wet wipes.
Welcome back for Tales from the Tail, our monthly check-in with the Great Doctor to discuss topics from his blog, medium.com.
Yes, Elcie.
And thank you to our guest, Tony Ardolino, for joining us today. His project, Far, Far Away, is currently seeking funding for the green light to produce the project. We have all the details, and it will be on tonight's post.
That's right. All right. And Elcie.
Can we put a dental dam on it?
Yeah. Wide-ons, bygones. Is that what Chris says? I forgot.
Wide on.
Hard-ons, wide-ons.
Yeah,
I think
something
that's
like
what it was. Yeah. Anyway. And pearls.
And pearls. Okay. Take it away, Elcie. All right, fine, I got it. Our show is available on our website, GayTalk2.0 under show and episodes. It's also available as a free
I hate you,
download
Trish.
on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Stitcher Radio. Nick continues to announce you can find us on social media: Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0, Twitter at GayTalk20. You can email us at GayTalk2.0 at gmail.com, not twitter.com. Tom, take it away.
All right. And if you need to reach out to us, you can just head on over to our website. There, you can click on the Contact Us tab located at the top of your web browser. You can leave comments, suggest topics, submit a question for the cast or an individual host, or you can submit, praises for our guest host, Elcie over here. That
And her tits.
everybody does. And her tits. Mercedes and Lexus.
Lexus.
And
I still think it's Alexis and, what did I say? David Rose and Alexis? Yeah.
Oh my God. You can also call us and leave us a question via voice message. We can answer those for you on the show. The phone number is 334-GAY-TALK. And if you need those digits, it is 334-429-8255. Don't forget that we do stream live every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can access that live stream by visiting digitalstreamradio.com. Ladies and gents, that is our show. Thank you, and y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.